Welcome back. Do you have an emergency kit? Do you just use an emergency kit that you have bought from an outfitter like REI or Academy, or do you make your own? And if you make your own or you don't make your own, are you aware of everything that's in it? It's very important. I'm going to give you some tips in this video. Stay tuned. So first of all, I wanted to share with you what I take everywhere. And I've had this for years. It is this little red and white pouch. It is nylon, so I can just wipe it clean, even though I never really have, because it doesn't really get dirty. And I take this when we go to Disney. I take this anywhere else that we go, whether it is overseas. I think I've taken it internationally. I take it to all of the national parks that we go to. This is always part of my mom bag, and even when I don't have the kids with me, I have this bag with me. So I have a lot of different things in here, and some of which are really specific to my family's needs, but I want to share with you what I do have, and then I want to talk to you about a couple things that I suggest that everybody has and that may not come in your standard over-the-counter pre-packaged emergency kit. Let's get started. The first thing that I have, actually, it's very weird. It's expired, so I do not suggest having this expired, but I do have an EpiPen. Now, have my kids ever needed an EpiPen? No, but my daughter, when she was really little, did have an allergy to mosquitoes that would make her eyes swell up really badly. Very weird, but they do let me actually travel. I go, on flights with this. I go into Disney. Sometimes I just point out at security, I do have an EpiPen in there, and I've never had an issue and never even had to provide proof of prescription. So there you go with the EpiPen. That's maybe the strangest thing I have in here. We have a lot of motion sick issues in our family. My daughter and I both get very motion sick. So I bought these patches. This is not something that I've used before, so I can't vouch for them. But the problem is I also have the little pills. But the problem with the pills, if you're not familiar with motion sickness pills, is that they make you very, very tired, very drowsy, and then you can barely even stay awake or conscious to even enjoy your trip. So that's sort of a last resort that I use motion sickness pills. So I'm trying to explore alternatives. So I do have just a little thing of the Bonine pills for emergencies, and I have had to use these before. You need to anticipate where you might be motion sick, because if you try to take it when you're already feeling nauseous, there's no point. The ship has sailed, literally and figuratively, right? Other things that I have in my pack is I have some of these cold relief, like effervescent tablets. I think this is like the stuff that makes your drink fizz. I don't really know. It says antihistamine, pain and fever reducer, and nasal congestant. I think I bought these when we were doing a lot of travel, when people were first able to travel again. I wanted to make sure that I had these available in case anybody got sick and we were stuck in a hotel room. I do like to have some first line of defense in that situation. I love little bottles. I want everything that I need to fit in this little tiny package, okay? So I do invest in making sure that I have these little bottles. So this one is Tylenol, this one is Advil, and I just keep these bottles and I'll often refill them. And the alternative to that, of course, is my other very favorite thing that actually is probably better for backpacking or hiking folks. If you are a very light packer, or you are sort of the workhorse of the family and you're carrying all the gear for people, what you may want to do is invest in these little tiny baggies. Do you see these little like Ziploc sort of, it's not focusing, these little baggies. So here I have some Advil in here, or ibuprofen, I guess, and I have a lot of these little baggies. They're so much more lightweight than even these bottles. I have a little pair of scissors. This is usually for like the moleskin that I'm going to talk about in a minute. I do have a little pair of nail clippers. Very weird, but this one is actually from a set that I got when one of my kids was first born. So it's very, very, very small. You can see it up against my thumb, my finger. Do you see that? It's maybe 2 inches. So it's really small, so that's great to have with you. If you have a hangnail, right? This happens all the time, completely randomly, and you need a pair of nail clippers. What if that happens while you're hiking? What if it happens when you're out and you didn't pack it as part of your bathroom pack? Having those is great. It does become a situation that is painful and you gotta address it, right? And basically, all of this fits together in this little tiny pouch, and you're golden. And I know what's in there, and I know that those are things, for the most part, that we will use. The other thing I have in there regularly is some sort of sting relief. Hello camera. These are sting wipes. You can't see it because my camera doesn't adjust its focus, but these are sting wipes. And I do like these. These we have used. We have been so grateful for. I've talked about these before. So I want to talk about 6 things that you should have in your emergency kit that you may not already have, especially if you buy something from a place where it's already pre-packaged. I want you to really consider adding these items right here. These are all things that we have needed in emergencies, and they were not part of a pre-made kit. 1, I believe that you should always travel, especially with kids, especially when you are in new places, always having Benadryl is helpful. Even when my daughter has had major allergic reactions before, and there was one time we had to go to the hospital. She was 6 months old and she had an allergic reaction to scrambled eggs that we were feeding her. The first thing that they did was actually give her high doses of Benadryl. Now, I mean, you're not going to give like 10 Benadryl to anybody. I'm not suggesting that. However, having Benadryl, and if you notice an allergic reaction creeping up, having Benadryl and being able to start using that very quickly in the process can buy you time in the case of an emergency. Additionally, this of course is great if there are just some sort of seasonal allergies that you're not aware of or that somebody experiences. Benadryl is pretty, as far as safety is concerned, Benadryl is pretty safe for kids. So we can just identify what dosages are appropriate for the people that you're traveling with, and then you can give them Benadryl for an emergency or some other sort of allergic reaction that needs to be tended to very quickly. And this way you don't have to have all the variety of allergy pills that you might normally use. Benadryl, very important, really important. These are so important that even though they have something that my daughter's allergic to in them, it is still better to have them than to not have them. But I do need to find ones without the food dye. Okay, here's another thing. We have been in different situations where we are hiking at elevation, where we have gone places and we have not taken time to acclimate to the elevation, which is not something that I ever really thought about because I've been spending summers in Colorado for like my whole life. But suddenly around the 40-ish mark, I've realized that I actually do need to acclimate to elevation. Maybe I just don't go from sea level all the way to 9,000 feet without any adverse reaction. Maybe I need some time. Who knows? I didn't know that. I thought I was pretty much like She-Ra and I could just adapt. I can't. That's a new problem. The other thing is sometimes adults like to go out when they're on vacation and perhaps have an adult drink the night before and then go the next day and do a hike or something that is physically exerting. Well, oftentimes there's not a lot of time in between to replenish electrolytes, and that's something that we need to be cognizant of because it really does affect our stamina. Also our hydration levels. Aside from those situations, the acclimating and needing to replenish electrolytes, there's also an issue of just overdoing yourself on a trail. And sometimes our ambitions are a little beyond our skill level, or our fitness level may vacillate a little bit during the year, right? There may be a part of the year when we're in great shape and another part of the year where we've gone 6 months not having much physical activity, but believing that we can still tackle that 12-mile hike that we've been watching and wanting to do for so long. So in either of those cases, any of them, having something like liquid IV to add to your water can, I want to say it could be life-saving. Is that too much? Is that too much? I don't know if it's too much because I hate to say this, but my husband, he goes to Big Bend all of the time, and we go a lot too, the rest of us, but he's there more often than us. He was on a Big Bend trip alone about 6 months ago, and he did a hike that was a big challenge hike. It was, 10 or 12 miles or something like that, which normally he can tackle really well. Those are the types of hikes that he prefers to go on, but he normally tackles it really well. Well, he told me, though not at the time, he told me many months later, because I worry, that he believes if he didn't have a liquid IV to use towards the end of that hike, that he would not have been able to make it out, and he would have had to sound the alarm on his Garmin. And that's the device for, emergency alert. He was so depleted that he needed this, and I guess the electrolytes in it or the sugars, I don't know. I guess sugars are part of that process. I haven't learned all of that, but what I know is this can give you the energy you need to get yourself to a safe place in the event that you are overly exerted. Liquid IV. Now, I also really like the Nuun tablets, N-U-U-N, and I carry those regularly, especially if I have an adult beverage, then for sure I'm going to pound a Nuun tablet in my water before I go out on a big hike. However, the Nuun tablets don't have the sugars that the liquid IV does have, and if I am really struggling in a hike and I am at the point of possibly needing to call for help, I think having the sugars, could possibly make a difference. It's just one other thing that could possibly give me a little extra energy to get out safely. Liquid IV. It's expensive. Don't drink it for fun, but drink it. The other thing that I want to share with you is sting relief. I've already shown you these, but these get used a lot, even for ant bites, okay? So sting relief, mosquito, ants, other little critters. You always want to have these. Have a few. You may use them every so often after getting a bite. The next one I've talked about before as well. This is your moleskin, okay? And this is one whole tab of it, and it peels off in the back. You cut it down to size, you put it on a hot spot, you save your feet. You need this, it's not gonna come in your emergency kit. Get it. Finally, tweezers, okay? Tweezers can solve a tick issue and they can solve splinter issues. I would just get this and call it a day, a little pack of tweezers, a little single tweezer. Those are the things I want you to really consider adding to your emergency kits. The other one I don't have with me is the little adhesive bandage strips that are not Band-Aids, but they actually close up wounds that may need further medical attention. That is actually in my Amazon cart, and I'm gonna get that to add to my emergency kit. I want you to be safe wherever you go. I want you to have all of the supplies your family might need based on all of your sensitivities, based on where you're going. Check with everybody in your family. Make sure you have them covered in the case of an emergency. Look at your emergency kit, whatever you have, and add to it. Spend the time, invest in the time, and you will be grateful. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Please like and subscribe, I guess down there, and I'll see y'all soon.